What's up guys, Jordan here from RKTUNES. Behind me we have my B58 drift car in progress. It's going, I guess. The step today that we're gonna do is we're gonna actually take the motor out of the car and then little things like windshield and glass to make it a little bit easier for the cage guy, but that's not too relevant right now, although you might see some clips of it. But we're gonna get the motor out and pretty much everything's stripped in the engine bay for a variety of reasons. We're not running air conditioning, we're not running heat, we're not running ABS. Wiper motor, we need. That's like super important in my opinion for the car. We might use some sort of heater core later on, depending on what we can buy to be something really, really simple. But we're gonna get the motor out and we're gonna talk about, once it's out, I'm gonna go over a bunch of things about it and then sort of talk about the goal, ECU, what we're trying to do, transmission options I'm at currently, and try to see what we can do. But for now, he's gonna start taking the motor out, and then once it's out, I'll show you guys a bunch of things, talk about what we're deleting, what we're keeping, and how I hope this is gonna work. And then after that, we're gonna send this right off to the cage guy, and then hopefully right to paint. That's why I buy Milwaukee, not Harbor Freight done. I buy everything Harbor Freight. This whole toolbox, check this out. Don't ask why the drawer is open, but look, Harbor Freight everything, bro. Harbor Freight everything. But that gun, bro, Milwaukee is key. All of this I also don't know. I don't think anything's really gonna make it back in the car. The oil cooler can. I don't know if I'll use the OEM one or what. The heat exchanger, which was for the OEM intake manifold, will not stay. I'm trying to figure out what intake manifold I can run that doesn't have a heat exchange in it, so I can buy a normal intercooler and not be like $1 million into a cooling system for an intake manifold intercooler thing. I worked with EOS a lot in the past, and they said that they're willing to make me an intake manifold with no heat exchanger built into it. I just don't know time frame wise, etc., how that's gonna work. So I'm still trying to figure all that out. I hope I don't have to put a heat exchanger back on the car, because the water and everything else, another coolant pump. I don't really know if I save weight by doing it the way I want, but the OEM intake manifolds, they do break, crack, and leak over 28 pounds boost anyway, often like on the seam. So for me to buy a water pump, make all that work, or make the OEM water pump work to keep the OEM intake manifolds, not worth it. So all this is probably gonna go. And we'll see how much it goes back on. Whatever ducting I can reuse in the future would be pretty great, because I really like the idea of ducting air for the best cooling. The OEM fan is not making it back on. A lot of this is not making it back on. Air conditioning, not making it back on. Islam got the motor out. We are gonna take the transmission off and probably use this for a different project, even though it's an B58 manual transmission, which I think is, based on my homework, it's extremely hard to find. I could not find a single one for sale, used on eBay or any old sales, etc. I don't know the value really, probably in the $3,000 to $5,000 range with trans loan. Part of me wants to keep this, I don't know, I'm saying this right now with my current thought process, but who knows, next video or two it might change. I'm just trying to see what's the most realistic in the time frame, which is like a 3-month period of finishing this and getting it ready for what I want to drive it at. Motor's out. He didn't keep cleaning this to get ready for the cage guy and hopefully paint immediately after. If not, it'll go cage, come here, get clean, strip better, and then go to the paint guy to at least do the bay and interior, and then we'll work on exterior. We gotta take a bunch of things apart. So we gotta get the harness stripped down a little bit and see what sensors we need, what sensors we don't need. This motor's supposed to have like 1,000 miles on it, 1,200 miles on it. It looks really clean. It's just missing a bunch of things. Like had no intake manifold, had no Vanos solenoids in the back, had some coil packs, had no fuel injectors. So we need like direct injector plugs. We're gonna do horrible, it's like B58 delete. It's all things that make a direct injection motor good, direct injection, stuff like that, make the fueling extremely precise. We're gonna remove all of that. All that's gonna be gone. It's gonna have dual Vanos still. The Valvetronic will probably be locked. I have absolutely no idea how I'm gonna lock the Valvetronic motor over here. Yeah, high pressure fuel pump will be capped off. I need to find someone to make me some sort of direct injector plug to plug the holes that are previously direct injectors. I don't want to take the cylinder head off and then plug it from the backside or weld anything in. That means I need to do a head gasket and head studs, and I have like the ARPs that take forever to get. I have those in stock. And I could get a head gasket, but my problem is I know the slippery slope that I'll go down if that head comes off. Like deck the head, deck the block, where's pistons? 5 valve springs. I want to try to keep this motor as stock as possible for now. So the guys at Link ECU, I've been talking to them a lot, and they say that they can make this work with a link. There might be some like things I have to look up wiring wise, have Dana look up wiring wise to be like, this sensor does this, here's the output, or test Vano solenoids to figure out exactly what's what. There's like an oil pressure control valve, I guess you could say. The thermostat's not really a thermostat with a sensor, it's like a ball valve that rotates to control water to the heater core, which is gonna be gone, versus the radiator. That has to be sorted, has a mechanical water pump, which is cool. I got a WiseFab angle kit coming from a friend, and I gotta get an E90 steering rack in this thing. We'll go over all the spec stuff when that happens. I put coilovers in the car and angle kit. That'll be like a few videos down the road, probably 3 or 4 at the rate that this is going after the motor stuff. But Link's sending me ECU, so while this is out, we're gonna be able to get this on a stand and sort of look over all the wiring, see what's needed, what's not, and then after we figure out like what sensors we want and we don't, go through the pinouts and try to figure out exactly what's where. We're not building a whole new harness. It's gonna be like probably an adapter that connects in. That way in the future, if I add direct injection back in, it's possible with just a new adapter harness and we have it all pinned out and figured out. Also transmission wise, I think a F10 M5 DTT is gonna fit. And I say I think because the images look correct on eBay, which does not mean that much. The F80 DCTs I own, I have one spare, which I was like, this is sick. I have a trans, I saved 1,500 bucks. I need to buy the harness, was like 2 grand done. HEG, it's like $13, $14. Spend 2,500 bucks, $500 adapter plate, bolt it on. I don't think that's possible. I think I gotta buy a transmission too, but for the sake of the people, I think a B58 DCT drift car with flex fuel and all the amenities Link gives me, I think that's gonna be like the coolest way to go. A sequential's cool, but it's extremely expensive. If you buy a good one, let's say $30,000, I'm not doing that. The DCT in my F80 behind me, that one, I've had over 1,000 horsepower. I've never had an issue from power. I've had an issue with a clutch failure, breaking it, because of issues in like testing clutches. That broke because it locked in 2 gears. If you do some of that, you can break one. But power-wise, 1,200 horsepower, 3.8, 130, it's never ever broke, never been damaged, never gave me a problem. So I'm gonna go with the DCT, I guess. I have to start ordering some more things. Hit up my friend Roman, Art of Assembly is his company's name, and he's gonna do the DCT harness for me. I could probably handle some of it simplicity-wise if I just send it to him, the Mechatronics, and just get it back ready to install. I think that is the best way. Time frame-wise, I can't spend like 3-4 days doing it, or even like 5 hours if that's all it takes, and take me a day or two the first time. I'm gonna have him do that. The Link stuff, I'm still trying to figure out if we're gonna do the wiring, or if I just figure out everything and send it to the guys at Link works on panic wiring. I might just send him whatever I know and whatever I figure out, or Dana figures out and looks up, to say this is this is that, and then we go back and forth, and then he actually makes me an adapter because he specializes in that. I don't trust a lot of people wiring, and I want to do it myself. We could do it, but it's like a huge level of time. Might be easier to have someone like that come in and do the wiring for what I tell them, for what they figure out, and go from there. But yeah, it's out. We gotta figure out what we can remove. AC is gonna go. Maybe put a power steering pump there. But that's sort of like a better definitive idea of what's going on. Link ECU, standalone, trying to do flex fuel, trying to do DCT. I'm hoping it's gonna work. This is a manual trans, so worst comes to worst, doesn't work or doesn't work in my time frame, this can get bolted back on, the car can be driven, and a manual can always go back in. Very few wires. ECU like a Link that's all CAN bus to a HTG controller. So that wouldn't be that bad. But this is where we're at right now. That's where my motor breakdown and what my goals are. I'm gonna look at the people that have done this before, like Papadakis Racing, Michael Essa, have both done some standalone on it, but they're both running Motec, which are like probably $10,000, $15,000. The ECU I'm trying to run is a tenth of that. It's like $1,500, I think. So it's just more realistic for me. This is not an unlimited budget, although it's like crazy DCT swap, I think. B58 drift car should be pretty great. It just, there's limits of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it work. So that's sort of the motor breakdown. So we'll get it all torn down, get its neck trans off, and then he'll work on the finishing this. I noticed there's like a lot behind me of weight removed. This is not, other than the air conditioning components, I still need a radiator. That's probably bigger than that. I still need an oil cooler. That's gonna, I'll at least reuse the OEM one or buy a bigger one. The air conditioning stuff, I already said the air conditioning stuff can be ripped off, so you save a few pounds. But I mean, these are air ducts that, to be honest with you, I'm gonna really try to put back on and have running. So like the grills and everything's ducted to the radiator and it cools as good as possible. So it's really not weight savings. A lot will go back on, and then a lot of things this will get replaced with will actually be a little bit heavier probably. So not a good pile. Not like my original pile of things to throw away. ABS will save what? How much weight are you gonna save from ABS? He'll save 5 pounds? It'd be like a pound. I was weighing things. I had like bottles of water yesterday. I was like, all right, this is a pound of water. I'm like, yo, how heavy was everything we removed? 5 pounds? Bro, ABS pump is not 5 pounds. 2.5 pounds. Bro, ABS pump is gonna be like a pound. A pound, dude. a pound. Damn, it means I need to buy a, ooh. So I guess if we remove the ABS, we'll need a proportioning valve, which limits flow to the rear brakes. So I have to guys think about that. Versus if you leave this, you don't spend any money on a proportioning valve, but it's sort of kind of like ugly and a little proportioning valve. I guess I just probably have to get a proportioning valve and then modify it. I probably won't get new brake lines, probably leave all these brake lines. Might just like bend them down, put a new T. They look like they're coated, so I hope we can just make new lines, but that is the least of my worries, a mechanical solution compared to everything electrical that I'm about to have to deal with.
Hey, buddy! You almost lost the glove.
Nah, it was a good, man.
Ow! That's sharp.
Yeah, my hat got swooped off by that.
That's pretty much it for today. We're gonna dig into way more. We got all sorts of goodies from Link. We got a ton of stuff going on. Make sure you're subscribed. We're gonna get back to you guys with a ton more footage on tearing into everything else on this car.